The more you play Catan, the more you find there are very definite styles of play, or archetypes that players assume. So which of these types are you, and which one has the highest chances of success? Find out on Legendary Tactics. We're going to break this down into two groups. The first set of archetypes illustrate how newer players tend to think and execute. The second group of archetypes are the battle-seasoned veterans who have definitive strategies in mind. I'm here with NATO and Cax to talk about these strategic approaches and which ones are the best. Welcome.
Hey, glad to be here.
Hey, Flash.
So why don't we start with the newer players? We'll do a list of 6 here. These are more about play style, I would say, rather than strategic approaches. Nate, why don't you start us off?
Number 1, the Road Warrior. This player knows what they want. As soon as they hear that there are 2 sweet victory points up for grabs, not to mention the glory for getting the longest road, their eyes will pop. They're going for the longest road and nothing else. Anyone who gets in their way is an instant enemy and their soul shall be crushed. They seem to generate brick out of thin air.
But I'm talking about the rookie next. And this person is... He's what we would call a noob, so he's just still learning the game, so go easy on him. Okay, they're going to call wheat hay, they're going to call ore stone, they're going to ask all kinds of questions that just make your head hurt, okay? And they really, really suck at the game. They never hit their rule, and the person before them always gets that 7. They have the best cards in their hand, and they have no clue what to do with them, okay? And you know it. There's always one of them in the group. So just roll with them and remember that rookies usually will accept any trade you throw their way, so use them like chattel.
Well, that sounds like something we can take advantage of. So number 3 is the Shepherd, and like the Road Warrior and the Rookie, this is not a great strategy. The Shepherd goes all in on a single resource, usually that's connected to a matching port. It's often done with sheep because there's a lot less competition for this resource, and there's a good reason for that too. You likely won't be robbed too much too because, well, you've only got sheep.
And you can't do much whenever anyone has one single resource. So we're going to look at number 4, the Analyst. This is your classic overthinker. They've watched all the strategy guides, memorized probabilities, and they frequently freeze up with what they call analysis paralysis. They'll often tell you how many times they've played the game, and they probably keep a score sheet with their win-loss record somewhere.
So the next up we have is the Naval Officer. So this strategy, you're going to be focusing on overstocking of one particular resource. You're going to build a port settlement, try to get the 2-to-1 on it, and cashing out on it. You're going to go for the wheat or the sheep or the brick, and you are gunning for that good exchange rate.
That sounds a little bit like the Shepherd, except a little more diversified.
Right, because you're not limited. You're going to go for whatever is sort of around you, and you're going to attack that resource.
Moving on to number 6, this is the Diplomat, and of all the rookies, this is the most dangerous type of player. So this player likes to toy with the others. They manipulate, they poke, they prod, and they nudge everyone else at all the right moments. NATO, this sounds exactly like you, by the way.
Yes, very much so.
They keep a keen eye on what everyone is doing, and they point it out frequently. They're the card counter at the table who seems to know where all the cards are and how to get those cards working for them. So that's the end of the newish player list. Let's turn our attention now to the more dangerous types of players, and these are the veterans of the game who have focused strategic approaches to the game.
All right, I'm going to start us off with the Resource Specialist. And this player is going for a veritable farmer's market. They will likely start with a road, then a settlement, then a road, and back to a settlement, one of which will be a 3-to-1 port. They're going to produce more resources than anyone else and will focus on trying to overwhelm their opponents on the markets and also getting to the tantalizing intersections first. They're not playing for the longest road or the largest army, and this player will be targeted more because they look to be rolling in the resources. This isn't a particularly effective strategy because they'll often be getting pairings that don't work well, and they'll be trading inefficiently with the bank. They will need at least one good port to convert on this strategy.
So the next kind of archetype we're looking at is the Saboteur. This person is a really annoying person to play with, okay? Because the Saboteur, they've looked at their board position, they've looked at their cards, what they've got, their points, and they are not liking what they're seeing. Okay, they're getting kind of frustrated with the game. They know they're not winning, so now their tactics turn to one strategy only, which is take down the winning player at the time, interrupt the game, disrupt the game flow for all the other players, and just make everything a royal hassle. They won't trade with you. They're going to block your roads. They're going to take benefits that would help you or hurt you, and help them. And it's really, really in your best interest not to get on the wrong side of these folks. They're going to be very singular in their purpose, and if they feel for any reason that you're on the winning track, look out.
They sound very spiteful. These are also the players who don't make the game that enjoyable too, unfortunately. But moving on to number 3, this is the builder. And much like the road warrior, this is done though by veterans, it's done with a little more skill. They'll build towards a long road and build lots of settlements. They'll be going for lots of wood and brick in their first placements. It's a very intentional attempt for the longest road. A winning board usually has 2 cities, 4 settlements, and the longest road. This is a solid approach because you can rush to 7 points quickly with 5 settlements in the longest road, but it's not as great in the end game because your opponents won't fail to see what you're doing. So this player needs twice as much wood and brick as wheat, and they'll also need twice as much wheat as sheep and ore.
Yes, it's a tricky balance to keep going, that's for sure. The 4th one is the developer. And if you see someone without too many settlements and only a single city, you might be dealing with a developer. They'll be playing knights, robbing like Robin Hood, laying the road builders down when no one else can, and you're just waiting for them to slap down their victory point cards. They will likely be playing for the largest army card and the lion's share of the victory point cards. And this will also ensure that they can be controlling the robber often, but also not irritate other players because their board position will look really weak. To pull this off, the developer will need a balance of wheat, ore, and sheep.
So next up we have the mayor. So this player has a singular focus, and that is going to be getting 2 cities before getting any roads or settlements. They're going to be looking for the promised land of ore and wheat, and they're going to be stockpiling. They aren't interested in wood or brick very much at all, and really their ultimate goal to win will be 3 cities, 3 VP cards, and the largest army. They'll do road building via Devo cards. If they are going to be the only ones in the strategy, look out. Okay, they won't be going for the longest road. They'll likely trade away sheep, brick, and wood to win the first city. Their key to success is to monopolize on ore, so watch out.
Have you ever noticed too, there's always a player at the table who calls them either Devo cards or D cards? That should be its own category, I think.
Yes.
The slang.
But it's not on our list today.
The slang expert.
Number 6, this is the final role, and they're called the Imperialist, and this is a very, very dangerous player. This is the person who takes a little bit of each role, and they know exactly when to take on the features of that archetype. The only way to beat them is to gang up on them right from the start, or you can just let it happen and then suggest a game of Yahtzee next. So overall, there's lots of strategies you can take with different nuances to each of these roles, but noticing what everyone else at the table is doing will let you find the path less traveled, which will increase your chances of getting what you need to win. Being flexible is one of the most important strategies in this game, since you can't always get what you want or what you need to win. So set your build up in such a way that allows you to take advantage of opportunities. Be sure to keep an eye on what your opponents need, and where possible, prevent that from happening. If 2 players are competing for the exact same strategies above, then both of those players are preventing each other from winning. So find your own unique path. If you found yourself in this list of Playstyles, or if you got value out of this strategy guide, give us a like and a subscription. Thanks so much for your time.